Hi, this is Amy Hooper, one of the instructional technology TOSAs, and I'm here to lead you through your self-paced training on task mastering with Gmail, calendar, and more. So we got some learning targets, and so hopefully this training will help you use and understand Gmail tool icons. We'll explore all the different icons available and tools that you can use within your Gmail account. And we'll start looking at some of the settings, all the different tabs under settings, such as general tab, labels, inbox, accounts, forwarding, and more. We'll look at the add ons that are available with Gmail, understand the difference between chat, spaces, and the meet features through Gmail. And then we'll also explore some more of the advanced settings, such as templates, looking a little bit at unread messages and request read receipt. We'll briefly talk about Google Contacts. We'll just spend one slide on that. But I think there's some good benefits to knowing what Google Contacts can provide you as far as group emails and just looking up information about other staff members in the district. We'll also take a look at understanding our calendar settings, being able to use those permissions and share settings in calendar. And then lastly, being able to customize calendar the way you want it using some of those add-ons as well as the new chips feature that Google just came out with. So for the first thing we're going to do is explore some of the different tools that are available in Gmail, take a look at their icons, understand what they do. Also look at being able to insert a profile photo if you haven't done so already for your Google account, and if you want to change the background in your Gmail. So this is just a view of the icons that pop up when you are opened up an email, so it kind of gives you the ability to do different things with that email. I just want to point out with most Google products and a lot of different technology website based apps, you can usually find a three dots, which means more options. When you click on the three dots, this is the menu that will pop up. So it gives you some of the things to do to the email that also these tools over here in the image provide you, but it also gives you some options that are not listed up above. So just take a look at those. We're going to pop out of here real quick and just kind of take a general tour of your Gmail account. I mean, it's something you use every day. First thing we're going to do is kind of look at, we've got three different tabs here available. I have it broken down by the default setting for my primary email, any social, and then also any promotions that I've signed up for. We are going to take a look up here. We have the select. If you click on that, that's going to be able to select all the emails in your inbox on this first page. To tab over, I have a lot of emails, and you can also change whether you view them oldest to the newest. Right now, I have it set to the newest. I could change that to oldest. But then to go beyond my first 25 emails here, I'm going to be able to select this arrow over here to go to older, and then I can tab back to newer if I want to. But once we select the box here, when we have an email, these tools are going to pop up. This gives me the ability to archive this email, to report it as spam, to delete it, which is what I'll do. Mark it as unread if I've already read it. Snooze it if I don't want to receive anymore from this particular sender. I could add this to task if it's an email I want to get back to. So I kind of have like a little to-do list. So if you're not familiar, Google gives us some add-ons over here to access by default. So calendar is one, keep is for note taking. We have tasks which show up on every Google product, so you can kind of keep a running to-do list if you wanted to. So just by clicking here with the plus sign with the circle around it, I'm sorry, the check mark with the circle around and the little plus sign, that'll automatically add this email to my task. So it'll remind me to come back and deal with the email at a later time. You can also access your contacts. And then these three add-ons down here are ones that I've added myself. So Zoom for Gmail and for G Suite, and then also Slack. If you want to add your own add-ons, I would suggest kind of clicking on this Get Add-ons plus sign button and explore what other add-ons they have available. Lastly, you can move this email to a folder or label it under a different label. And then lastly, we have the more option, which I showed you on the slide. So these are some things that I could do from this email that it's giving me the ability. It's not giving me the ability to add an event like it showed in the one on my slide, since this is not somebody who or a sender who I would be interacting with in that sort of manner. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. I'm going to jump into this news from Google to kind of show you some of the other tools that might pop up. So they're pretty much similar to the ones when I just checked the box. So again, archive. It also gives me the ability to go back to my inbox, archive, report as spam, delete, mark as unread, snooze this if I don't want to receive emails from news from Google. Frequently, I could set it to snooze them until maybe next week or pick a date and time that I like. Again, I could add it to a task, I can move to a folder, label it, and then our more menu does give me the ability to actually now that I've opened up the email to create an event if I want to. To change your photo, we're going to come over here to where it says Marysville School District. To the right of that is your photo, which also is mimicked up here in your Chrome bar. Once you click on the photo, it'll open this up. This is also where you would go to find if your computer is synced up. If you're having any issues with maybe things such as bookmarks, especially the MSD bookmark not showing up here, make sure you click on this round circle that may either have your photo or some sort of profile pic in it, or maybe just your initials, and click to make sure that your Google account is synced, and so it's updating even things such as the MSD bookmarks. So from here, you can see my image here. If I wanted to change this, or if I don't have an image, a picture, I can go ahead and click on the camera here, and that will give me the ability to upload a photo, maybe from my Google Drive or from the computer itself. If you want to change your background photo, we're going to actually come over here to the settings wheel. It's located right nestled in between the Google Apps waffle and the question mark for support for Google. So we're going to go ahead and open up settings. The first thing that's going to pop up is these quick settings. So these are just kind of all about the layout and how you want your Gmail account, your inbox set up, and what the layout looks like. You also have the ability to change the theme or the background picture by clicking View All. Now, most of these photos are just stock photos that Google has provided us. Looks like they're all by Romaine Guy or maybe Greg Bullock. I've also uploaded my own photo of my dog. I did so by going down here to my photos, clicking on that, and it gives you the ability to upload or pull them right from your Google Drive. Once you've selected a photo, you want to hit save. There's some other things you can do, such as text background. You can also blur the photo if you wanted to. So there's just some other options here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save. I'm going to jump back over to my Google Slides, and we're going to continue on. Now we're going to get into these like major settings. There's a bunch of them listed under their own tabs. So it'll look like this when we open up. We'll have the general tab, then we'll have labels of we'll talk about that a little bit later. Inbox accounts. We won't spend a lot of time with filters and blocks or forwarding. We've already kind of covered a little bit of add-ons. We'll look at the difference between chat and space and meet. And then we'll kind of finish up Gmail by kind of touching on these more advanced settings that you may choose to use or not use. Lastly, they just have offline, and we just cover themes. So you can do some pretty cool things with the Gmail now. You can actually translate emails that come maybe in a language that you do not understand. And so we're going to look at language. We're going to look at controlling the amount of conversations that are shown on that inbox page. I have mine set to 25. You can go down to as little as 10 shown and up to as many as 100. I believe the default is 50. You can also change how long you have to unsend an email. So whenever you send an email, make sure you look down in your bottom left-hand corner of your Gmail account. A little pop-up menu will pop up. A very small one just will say, click here to unsend. And you have anywhere from 5 to 30 seconds, and you can change that in the setting here to as long as 30 seconds that you're given to do so, or as little as 5. You can also change your default for replying. You can set it so that it automatically just replies back to the main person who sent the email, or you could reply all if it's an email sent out to many recipients. I've chosen not to set it just because it kind of depends, I think, on the email coming in, whether I want to just reply directly back to one person or to reply all always in that kind of a situation. And then lastly, you can decide whether to enable or disable hover actions, just being able to quickly see those tools that I was showing you. Instead of just having the image, it also gives you the little pop up text that tells you what the tool does. So I find that beneficial just to kind of remind me. So I'm not trying to like rack my brain going, what does that little clock stand for? So I would suggest leaving that enabled, but if you feel like you don't need it, you can go ahead and disable it. I'm going to go over general tab part two and finish up with dynamic email. Then we'll pop back into Gmail. I apologize right now if this is a little bit of a dry training. There's not much excitement with Gmail, but I at least want to show you some settings that you can, either apply or do away with depending on what you kind of see as far as working for you and your email kind of workload. So some other things under General Tab. General Tab Part 2, most of the bottom part is all about giving Google the ability to help you out in things such as grammar suggestions, spelling, autocorrect for your email writing. Also, Smart Compose, which I really think is beneficial, kind of time saver. Google will predict what it is you're trying to type or kind of give you suggestions for finishing up a certain sentence or question. I suggest leaving that on. If you want to change any of those, you are more than welcome to turn them off or, yeah, turn them off. Some of the other things towards the top, the send and archive button. When you're replying back to somebody, you can choose to archive all your replies if you want, or have the option to archive once you send. So if you want that ability, I would click to show it. If you don't think you need it, just leave it on hide. You can change your default font style for your typing in your email. Images, you can set it for always display external images, which I believe is the default. If you want to turn that off so that any images attached to an email don't automatically show up, that you actually have to kind of like press a button to give permission to see the photos, you can set it to that. However, that will disable dynamic email. So right now I have dynamic email is enabled, and I'm going to go over on the next slide why I think dynamic email is important to have enabled. Dynamic email allows you to do a lot of things just within your Gmail without having to leave it. So things such as if you get RSVP requests for events, you can RSVP instead of going to your calendar. You can do it right from your Gmail. You can fill out those form questionnaires, Google Forms, without going to a different tab or a link outside of your Gmail. You can respond to comments if you're collaborating on a Google Doc and people are leaving comments on that Google Doc, it'll send you an email notification and you can actually comment back without having to open up and go into the Google Doc. And it also just kind of keeps you up to date on any latest improvements to Google, to Gmail specifically. So that's kind of why I suggest leaving dynamic email enabled and why I suggest not turning off the images from just automatically showing. So let's jump into our settings. So we're going to go back up to settings wheel, and again, located right between Google Apps and support. So click on the wheel. It's going to pop this up. You're going to see quick settings first. Then we're going to click on the blue to see all settings. All right, so I'm going to show you some stuff with language here so you can change your language setting. Right now I have it set to English. If that is good for your Gmail, but you can also change the language setting for other Google products as well. And I just kind of want to open this up so you can take a look to see what you can do once you click on that. So it has my preferred language set for English from that setting. If I was someone who was fluent in other languages, though, I might choose add another language so I could kind of select and go back and forth between them. But since English is my only one, I'm going to set it as that. I'm going to go back to my Gmail and I want to show you how you maybe can translate messages. So we're going to come back. We're going to open up that news from Google again. I'm going to go over and look at some of my tools. I'm going to go over here and look at some of my tools on the right. So I can mark this email as important with the star. I can reply back. I can also print this email. I can pop it out into its own window if I wanted to make it bigger. But we're going to go down here to our little three dots for more. What more can we do with this email? Well, besides replying, which we usually do, or forwarding this message to someone else, or filtering it, or printing it, delete, block, spam, phishing, that kind of stuff, we can also translate the message. So if this message came to me and it was in a language I did not understand, I'm going to go ahead and hit translate right from there. Scroll back up. It detects the language for you, or you can select what language it came in if you recognize it, and then you set it to, oops, sorry, did not mean to click on that. Then you set it to the language in which you would understand what is being what the message contains. You can toggle back between viewing the original message by clicking here or the translated version. So that's just something maybe that would help with communication with with families that maybe do not um, speak English as their first language. So we're going to go back to our General tab setting. We are going to look at some of these other. Right now, I have it, of course, set to United States for the phone number. This is where you can change the amount of emails or conversations that are shown on that first inbox page. Undo send. I'm giving myself 30 seconds to hit that undo. Um, reply, I have it set to reply all because I always forget to do that. I've got hover actions enabled. I have the send and archive button hidden. I've got my default font and what the body of my text will look like. Images always display because I want to make sure I keep that enabled dynamic email. And then all of my grammar, spelling, autocorrect, and writing suggestions are turned on. All right, let's jump back to finishing up, hopefully, here, General tab. All right, so part 3 kind of gets into more of that conversation view. Um, so that kind of keeps emails together that are on the same topic. So if you are someone that doesn't like all the emails within the same kind of reply chain together, you can have that turned off so you just get individual emails as opposed to grouping it all together. Nudges, you can turn those, select those to be on or off. Those will kind of let you know that maybe you need to follow up on an email. I usually just, hit the dismiss, but if you're someone who doesn't want to keep hitting dismiss, you might just go into General tab and uncheck these. Our smart reply helps us easily select a phrase that fits kind of as a reply back to an email. Mark conversations as read. You can change the timing on this so it gives you more time to when it's marked as read. Um, that might be beneficial to some. I don't really care how long, but that might be something you want to change. There's other like kind of smart features and personalization for your Gmail chat and Meet that they can use kind of your personalization of kind of how you write things and stuff. So you can, if you don't want, I had one of my Zoom trainings, someone said, I don't like how like Google kind of knows everything that I'm doing or going to do. So if you're in that kind of category, you might want to turn some of these smart features off. Desk notification. If you're someone who kind of is not in your Gmail all day long, but wants to know when maybe an important email comes in or any new email comes in, you might want to select these. I do not have my mail notification on because I always have my at least one tab set for my Gmail account on my desktop. And so if you just want to, if you're not on the web all day like I am, you don't have, a Chrome browser open all day, you might want to have your desktop notify you when a new email or even just an important email comes in. Okay, we're going to wrap it up by kind of coming down here to at the very end, signature. I've heard that some people don't have a signature. I think it's a great thing to have to at least let people know, like, what your position is with the school district. And you can also have more than one signature. So you can also come down here and create a new one and choose which signature you use for different things. So for when maybe new emails come in, or if you're just replying or forwarding the email, what signature is being used. Um, you can also choose to show snippets of the message. That kind of gives you the little blurb about what the message, the email is about. You say no snippets, then it just shows the subject only. Um, this last part down here, whoops, excuse me, is your vacation or away setting. And so that's kind of a good thing to use, especially with when I'm recording this, at least with the winter break coming up next week. So let's go ahead and take a look at the rest of the tab under our email. So if we just continue down, we're going through those smart features that you may want to have turned on or off. Um, you may want to turn off that conversation view, right? If you do not want to have all the messages together, so you have to kind of like go back in the chain of emails. If you just want to kind of receive them individually, you can turn that conversation view off. Um, you can turn off those nudges if you don't want to get kind of reminded about replying or following up on an email. The smart reply you can turn on or off if you don't want Google to suggest how to reply to an email. And some more of these personalization features here. Desktop notification. If you don't have a web page or Chrome browser open all day, you might want to turn these on so you know a new email or important email comes in. Mine is set to off. And then we have down here your signature area. So you can change that. You can add a signature. You can add multiple ones. You can choose what signature is sent when. And then your vacation responder, you can turn that on or off. You can select who receives your vacation response, if it's only people in your contact, or if it is just to people in the Marysville School District. When you are done making changes, make sure you do hit Save Changes to your Settings for General tab. All right. Well, now we have a question coming up here. So this is our first question for this self-paced for you to respond to. And that question is just to think about, out of the general tab settings, which one do you find most beneficial and why? So we'll pause here and it'll give you some time to kind of think back on which of those. I know I covered a lot, but which one is most beneficial to you? All right, now we're going to take a look at labels. There's two ways to get to your labels, and there's different things that you can do to manage your labels as well, which these two pictures show you right here. So labels is available in settings, but it's also just under your mail menu, so just right on your inbox page. And so you can use labels to kind of sort where different emails that you receive go. It'll also let you know when there's unread. So the number that we have on the right shows all my unread. So this would be the labels as listed under my mail menu here. I can also go up here since we're still in settings. If we go to the top, there's those tabs and I can go to labels here. This kind of gives me more of a quick kind of access to the labels to either show them or hide them. So I can choose. Right now I have snooze. I'm hiding those. Showing my starred ones. I could choose to hide starred. I could choose to show important. I don't have that. So you can kind of just go through. You can also create new labels here as you see fit. If you want to just work within your inbox menu, it's kind of hard to see with my Screencastify, but it's down here. You can manage your labels and you can create new labels here. You also have your three dots for more. When I pop that up, that's where we get the ability we can assign different colors to the labels we wanted to. In the label list, you can basically do what's shown on the right here. You can hide it, and just show it only if there's an email in there that's unread, or show it completely. In the message list, so over here on the left, it is showing. I can choose to hide that if I wanted to. I can edit the name of the label. I could remove the label all completely, and or I can kind of add a sub label. So if we go back up here, I have the Ditch That Textbook, and then underneath of it is a sub label. I have tech tips. So some tips I've taken from emails that I received from this particular company that I think might be beneficial for upcoming tech tips. All right, let's take a look at what else we have that we can change in our Gmail account. So some of the other settings there, inbox, accounts, and forwarding. Inbox settings, things such as categories, how you're reading panes. So a little bit of that quick settings that we kind of saw in the beginning. Also the importance marker, filtering mail. With account settings, you can kind of actually set up other Gmail accounts or other email accounts in general that you might want to include for either maybe sending mail, having checking incoming mail if you don't want to always go to your work email. Um, I don't see this being used a lot, but I just wanted you to know um, that the ability is there. You can also change Google account settings. You could share an account, so grant access to others if you wanted to. If you're low on storage space, you have the ability to add more. And as far as forwarding settings, you could choose to forward any email coming in to another account, and you could do that for like a set amount of time, depending on if you're away or not. So let's go ahead and take a look at these different labels over in. So again, we have inbox. I just have mine set to default. I have my categories. I can choose. You always have primary, so that's anything kind of work related. I do have social and promotions also set up. Um, you can also have a reading pane if you wanted to. And so it kind of gives you the ability to read the email right from your list of conversations instead of having to click on it and open it up. Showing markers. And so that kind of Mary is set so that Marys will kind of analyze this and kind of marks ready what's considered to be important, maybe email coming in. And it also kind of you can choose to base it off your past actions as well. And then filtered mail, include important messages in the inbox may have been filtered out. So you can choose to override the filters or don't override the filters. And again, if you make any changes, please make sure you hit save changes. For the accounts, this is where you would be able to go in and add any other email addresses that you might want to have associated, or even grant access for other people to come in and be able to um, have access to your account and what they can do with your account as well. And you can check your storage space to see if you need to, hopefully you don't, need to purchase any additional storage. I don't really cover much about this stuff. It's just you can put blocked people in there if you've blocked any addresses. You can also add that forwarding address if you wanted to. And you can forward just some of your mail if you want to by kind of setting a filter. So filter out certain ones that you want and send it to that forwarding address if you wanted to. We won't really get into any of this other settings, but let's get back to the slideshow presentation now that we spent just a little bit of time on some of those other setting tabs. All right. Add-ons and chat and meet. I've already covered a little bit about add-ons. I also want to show you some of the different things you can do. So let's go ahead and just escape out of this for a second. Go back to my email. So you'll see that my labels are all here on the left. I have a lot of them. Your chat and your spaces and meet all live over here under your labels as well. So if you have a lot of labels like I do, I chose to move my chat spaces and meet tabs over to the right to separate them from the labels because it just gets too long and buried over there. So okay, so we're already in our settings. So we're just going to go to chat meet. Chat is set to Google Chat. If you don't want to receive Google Chat messages, you can turn that off. You can also come up here. We have our active status. This right now, if somebody was to message me, like I've messaged Shannon before, and right now it shows that Shannon is green, so she is active. If I tab this down, I could set myself to do not disturb so I wouldn't receive messages, and it wouldn't notify me until I go back to being active. I can also set myself as away, so that lets the person know who's sending me a chat that I'm not on my computer right now, or you could add your own status. So if you don't want to do Google Chat on, you can turn it off. You can also manage some of your chat settings right from here. Chat position. Um, oh, Chat position. I'm sorry, let's actually take a look at so allow chat notifications to your desktop. You can also set notification tones. Um, you can receive an email if you haven't read the message yet. You can also block certain people, and also block spaces if you're using the space feature down here. So I hit done on that. But to move your chat spaces and meet over to the right side, you can go ahead and change that right here with chat position. So left side, it would put it underneath my labels over here, my menu. Right side, or it's nestled over here. Meet, I'm choosing to have Meet there, so you can actually start a video conferencing right here from your email account just by going into Meet. Spaces is more for like groups of people to kind of come together more and collaborate. So let's go back to the presentation, and you can actually take a moment to look at, I have it up on my next page, kind of a little image of the differences and what kind of each purpose chat, spaces, and Meet. I kind of already went over this with you already. That's just kind of the how-to on moving your chat, Meet, and spaces, but what does each of them do? So email obviously is your electronic email that we have our inbox for. You can do different things, and we'll go over how to schedule a message to send later in just a minute. So basically, respond to different people. Direct messaging is basically your chat. It's kind of quick, you know, questions that might pop up. So kind of like a text messaging, so more one-on-one. Spaces is more for groups. You can actually, work on projects together, share documents, also assign and track share tasks and see so really if you're working on more of a team, that might be more of a place. And you can add and remove people from those spaces as needed. And then lastly, Meet is our video conferencing, which we can access either through Calendar or Gmail or Google Classroom. So in your own words, just kind of type up what is the difference between chat, spaces, and Meet. And then after you've had a chance to respond to that question and Edpuzzle, we will move on. All right, so before we wrap up Gmail, we're going to talk about some of those advanced settings. We're going to look at creating templates, add unread message count to your Gmail account, and requesting a read receipt. And then how do you access those templates under the More option for composed mail. And then we'll also take a look a little bit at the compose email toolbar, and then how you would use over here send, how you would kind of use things to the little arrow here to schedule a send. So you don't have to send it right away, you can actually schedule it. And then we'll go through the more options and some of these tools as well. So let me exit out of here. We'll pop back over into my email. Let's go down here again, news. Let's go ahead and pretend. We'll scroll down to the reply. So you can also hit reply and forward here, but also up here in our three little dots for more. So if I was to reply to this email, it's going to have my ability to type up a text message here. All the different things I can do as far as fonts and bold or underline, basically some of the, or not all, but at least a few of the options that they give you with Google Docs. Down here where it says send, to the right is this arrow that gives me the more options. So I would hit this to schedule send, and then you can choose an actual date and time. Calendly is an add-on that I've added. If you have Bitmoji and you like to use that, you can insert Bitmoji into your email. And then we have some other features such as paperclip to attach documents right from your computer, The little link for hyperlink for website links here, so you can go to other web pages right from that link. Emojis to insert. This would be for your Google Drive to bring either a document, attach a document, or even an image. If you want the picture to actually live right inside the body of the email and not be as a attachment at the bottom, make sure you select this box here, the square with the mountains in it. And then lastly, we have the pen for signature. Over here, we have more options. And this is where you would go to access to find your templates. Now, to set up the templates, you're going to need to go to your settings, and we'll go back there in a minute. But you can also, when you send an email out, you can request a read receipt. So it notifies you that the person they have to check that they actually did read the email. You can do other things such as print and check the spelling of your email, but with all that smart compose and settings that you have set under your CL settings under general tab for spelling and grammar, you should need to do that. But let's go ahead and explore the advanced settings. So here we go, we have templates. So in order for me to have the ability to go to templates like I just showed you under more, I have to enable it. If I don't want to have that ability, then I would select disable. The unread message icon is set to disable, but you can enable it. All it does is if you take a look up in the upper left-hand corner, my tab where it says settings there and my email address for Gmail, it has the Gmail signal, and then underneath it just says 100 plus because I have over 100 unread emails in my inbox. So if you're someone who like to kind of have a quick glance of how many unread emails you have to get to, you can go ahead and enable it here. I'm actually going to go ahead and disable, and we'll remember to save those changes that you make. And as you can see, it is working to disable the count from my Gmail tab right here. All right, so let's go back to our presentation. And I believe this should kind of wrap up. I think the only other thing I'm going to cover is, and I already covered it with you earlier, is that active status. So making sure that if you want to, you can use that, especially if you have chat turned on and you want people to know whether you are actually active on your computer or not. So we went over how to schedule an email for later. We also covered your active bar up here near where your settings wheels is, the support for Google. We talked about using right next to the right of send, the little triangle to do a schedule send. And then you can kind of, it's showing me the status of people that I might email. If I was sending an email to my partner here, Melissa Dilling, at this present time, she is not active. So you can see the little white circle. If somebody was active, you would see the green show up, green dot next to their profile pic or initial. All right, so let's talk briefly about Google Contacts. You would use, once you open up Contacts, it is the blue circle with the little figure icon of a person inside that blue circle. There's two different ways we can do that. We can access either through the waffle or on the right-hand side is one of our add-ons. To create a group contact, you would go into create contacts or multiple contacts, and you would have to add a label. So all these labels here are group contacts that I have created so that when I go to compose an email, if I were just to type in my schools, it would send all the people under the label my schools an email. It's also a great tool, Google Contacts is, to kind of look up if you're not familiar with the position someone has within the district. You can find out where it is that they work and also find any recent interactions that you've had with that person as far as either meetings or emails or anything like that. So I suggest that if you're trying to maybe find something or remember what your interaction was with that person. So again, we're going to go over back here to email. My number is now gone, as you can see here, for unread messages. So we can either do the contacts through here on the add-ons on the right, or we can go up to the waffle and we can scroll down and find contacts here. So it's going to open up a new tab for me. To create multiple contacts. I'm going to start typing in a name. So I'm going to use my team here. And we're going to assign Melissa to a label. You can also create a new label, but I'm going to assign her to tech. And I'm going to create that new contact. And now she's under the tech team. You can also search for people here. So again, and you can see where different people, what their positions are as well. If I go back over here to compose an email and I want to send an email to my tech team, I'm going to go to tech. And then some of my group messages like tech shows up here. Now, making sure that when you do select to send it to a group, if you don't want them to know who all the recipients are in this group email, you might want to go to BCC and then hit again your group email. All right, so that's just a little brief introduction to contacts. All right, we're going to go through some calendar orientation. You can gain some insights of kind of your time usage using calendar. If I was looking at my calendar, obviously where it says left side of calendar and all the different images on here on my slide, it would actually show my calendar the month to look at kind of just the small glance, you have that over on the left hand side. And underneath you have more insights, and this more insight can kind of tell you how much time you spent in meetings, who you spent your meetings mostly with. And I think this is kind of a nice thing to kind of take a look at, because there's some other things you can do with calendar than just schedule meetings. You can actually, so besides events slash meetings, you can also schedule yourself some focus time. So if you're finding that you're spending a lot of times in meetings and you just want to kind of schedule some time, maybe for yourself, go ahead and put this in your calendar, because when people go to maybe try to set up a meeting with you, they might try to look through and see what available time you have that coordinates with theirs. If you schedule yourself some focus time, that'll show up as something that you're busy. You don't have that time available. You can also set an out of office setting as well. That kind of works the same way, so you're not available. Again, you can kind of use tasks to create that to-do list. So that will kind of link up with that add-on of tasks that Google's created. And appointment slots, I think this is really cool. Unfortunately, you do have to have a Google Gmail account in order to use appointment slots. So you can't have somebody with like a Yahoo or a different type of email access and sign up for your appointment slots. So that's just something you can do in calendar. So let's take a look. So if I was to come here, again, my insights, my different calendars that I have active are over here on the left-hand side. You can click on here, more insights, for some of that information that I was showing you. If I create an event, then it pops up the ability to select what type of event I'm scheduling. Appointment slots, if we go here, you can set a specific day. So say February 1st, we want to do from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. These are going to be 30-minute slots or 30-minute increment appointments that I have. I can go ahead and save that. Once I've created that, I'm going to open it up. I'm going to go to my appointment page for this calendar. Right up here, all you need to do is copy and paste this link, send it out to people, and they can click on it and come to this page. And I would need to go ahead and scroll forward to, what did I set it for? February 1st. So February 1st, I have, on that Tuesday, I have from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. 2 30-minute slots available. If I wanted to, I can click on it, and you could use this for someone to book basically an appointment with you. So they would put their name in here as an appointment with yourself, and then they would select save, and then they would take up. So someone now has booked that appointment slot. All right, let's get back to presentation. So what can you do with calendar besides just schedule events and meetings? So think about some things we just showed you as far as insights, focus time, out of office, and appointment slots. Just so you know, if you delete an event off your calendar, you do have about 30 days to restore an event that maybe you deleted by mistake. Just look for the settings wheel, and we'll go over that in just a minute. Also, under those setting wheels, you can do things like grant permissions and share settings for individual calendars. So you could make a calendar public for everyone to see. You can also get a shareable link. So if you just want to share it with one person, you can also add people to your calendar so that they also have access. So, like Melissa and myself, we have a shared calendar that the TOSAs just kind of share. So we know kind of together what we're doing each day, or if we're going out to a school to help out a teacher or something. You also can set your notification options. This is really nice if you're someone who doesn't like getting all the emails about new events that have been created, or if someone's canceled an event, you can kind of set those things. Um, you can also set how when you receive a notification about an event coming up. So whether that's 10 minutes prior to the event, or maybe even 20 or 30 minutes out. And also when you get, a all day event notification. So if you have something going all day, usually the day before, it will send you a notification reminding you of that all day event. You can also change that as well as add other notifications to it. Make sure you go in and delete calendars that you no longer use. Again, you're going to go through settings to do this, and I will show you that in just a moment. And then also another thing that's nice about calendar is you can also search for events or search for people in your calendar. It's also, this is where you would find, you can change the month, but you can also find your settings, any events that have been deleted. This is the big one when you want to go in and, bring back an event that you accidentally deleted. You'd find that in your trash. And then you can also add, just like with Gmail, add-ons to your calendar, and do other things like change the density and color of your calendar, as well as print it out. All right, so let's go ahead and go through some of the things you can do to customize your calendar. You can also choose, whether it shows weekends, it doesn't show weekends, decline events are shown or not shown on your calendar, when the week starts, how many kind of days you want to show, any alternate calendars that you want to show as well, color and density as well, we talked about. And then the right side of the calendar has the same kind of add-ons that that Gmail has as well. So it comes with Google Keep, it comes with those Google Tasks, it comes with contacts, as well as Google Maps, because you can actually set addresses on your events. So it links up with Google Maps on your calendar as well. Some other add-ons I've added, again with that plus sign on the right-hand side, are things such as attendance taker for my Google Meet for when I had remote classes, Zoom for calendar, so you can set up Zoom events right there, as well as text message reminders for my events. So let's go ahead and just explore calendar a little bit more. Let's jump into the settings. So we're going to come up here to settings menu for calendar. We're going to go into settings itself and take a look at some of the things. So you can set all the different language, region, time zone, and that kind of stuff. All your different settings are over here. For notifications, we can come down here to notifications, and you can decide how notifications are, if you have desktop notifications, when they're shown, that kind of stuff, how your calendar is displayed. If we come down to specific settings for my specific calendars, we're going to come down here and you can click on specific calendars. You can change the name of them. You can add description, their time zone. You can export the calendar. You can mark who it's available to see. You can get your shareable link, add people to your calendar, and control all those different notifications. It also gives you codes to kind of integrate the calendar. So if you want to put it like on a Google Sites or web page, you can do that. Um, so there's all kinds of different, and then if you want to remove a calendar, if it's a calendar that you no longer use, you can come down here to the bottom where it says delete. But you can also use these labels over here that will automatically bring you to, so bring me back up to calendar settings. And if I want to go just to remove a calendar, I hit remove and it'll bring me down to the bottom where I can delete the calendar. All right, so hopefully that gives you a little bit. Let's just actually jump out of settings. And I just want to show you one thing. This is where your add-ons again are. So you can access all the notes that you started under any Google product. You can access all the to-do lists that you started under any Google product. You have access to your contacts, to Google Maps, and your ability to add on add-ons here with the plus sign. All right. Let's see if we have a remaining question. Oh, yes, sorry, using chips. Chips is also a really cool thing. Let me go ahead and show you exactly how that works. So back in our Google Calendar, actually I can close that one out. So back in our calendar, if I was to create a new event, I'm going to go down here under the more options and we're going to open this up so it's a little bit bigger. So here you have the ability to add guests to this event. You also have the ability to what's called to create meeting notes now. Once I create the meeting notes, it'll automatically, and I have to give, I believe, a title. So let's just call this tech meeting. And we are going to go ahead and I think that's good. We're going to go ahead and save that. Meeting on February 1st. We're going to go ahead and open that back up. And now it is created and attached to the meeting a document that's called Tech Meeting Notes. When I open that up, I can use this chips feature as well. It automatically generates this for me. I know this is something I think if you've watched our Tuesday Tech Tips, it's something I share when it comes to chips. I've heard some people wishing like the kind of like @ symbol that pops up um, to not be visible because it kind of throws them off. But I think it's a really cool tool to use. And I'm going to show you a little bit about that @ symbol here in just a minute once the document finishes loading. So that notes is already generated through. I can add attendees to this meeting. So I'm going to say and it's going to pop up obviously the two people I meet the most with. I'm going to come down here. Some of the other things you can do is grab other files that have been created. You can add in dates, choose different headings, add in different calendar events that are coming up, all right from using the @ symbol, which is known as chips. You can create lists, add in different types of media, such as images. But we're just going to go ahead and add Melissa as an attendee to this meeting. And then you can, type in notes. You can add action items. And just because you mention somebody doesn't mean that they have access to the document. That's what it's pointing out here. It does give me the ability to block this message from popping up or sharing. I can also use my share setting up here in the upper right as well. All right, so that's just a little brief information about chips and how it kind of integrates with Calendar. So once you create that meeting notes through Calendar, it'll automatically be associated or linked to that event. So just kind of think about, out of kind of the brief, quick rendition I just did, what was your favorite feature that you learned about Google Calendar today? All right, these were the learning targets, hopefully, that we addressed in this training. And also put in the notes for Ed Puzzle, the evaluation form, the attendance form, as well as a link to a copy of this slideshow as well. And so thank you for attending this self-paced training on task mastering with Google, Gmail, Calendar, and more.